Recursion is one of the tougher topics to understand in programming, but basically it's another way of iterating or looping through something. Let's say we wanted to write a function to find the factorial of a number. For example, the factorial of 3 would be 3 times 2 times 1, which equals 6. There are two key concepts. The first is something called the base case. This is the logic that stops our loop. So when it comes down to calculating factorial, we know that we have to stop when we reach the number 1. So we can add an if statement to check if our number is equal to 1. And if so, all we want to do is return 1. Now, the next concept is something called a recursive case. And this is basically what's going to keep the loop going. And the way it does this is basically by the function calling itself. For the case of calculating factorial, we are going to return initial number n times factorial n minus 1. Might be a little confusing, but the way it works is, let's say we start with n is equal to 3. So in here, we're going to pass n, and we're going to see if n equals 1. It doesn't, so we go into our loop. So in here, we have return 3 times factorial 3 minus 1. So now we go through again, 3 minus 1. Now our n is equal to 2. Again, we go through the first if. N is still not 1 yet, so we go inside of here again. Now this time, we're going to return 2 times factorial 2 minus 1. Now at this point, our n is equal to 1. So now we check here, n does equal 1, so we'll end up returning 1. So at this point, we're coming up here, we're returning 1. So this logic here, what's returned is 1. Then here we have a multiplication of 2 times 1, which is returned, which is just 2. So then inside of here, we're returning 2. Then at the very end, what we're returning is 3 times 2, which equals 6. So let's try to run this. I'm gonna say console.log. Here I'll put 3. We see that we get 6. If we do the same with another number, 5, we get 120. Let's say we just do 2. We should get 2.